very kind of a gray area where the British were ruling, but they had only control, but the local populace was not there in support of them. And then economically, that area was not very prosperous at the time. And so it's a combination of mismanagement, a combination of things which basically started the entire thing. And I reckon that in itself, uh, if would have been managed better, you would have had a different scenario. So you can't entirely blame the Jews on in terms of returning there, especially if they have religious affiliation, and then the borders are open to them to a certain extent or certain amount of them. Then obviously, what you're inviting is chaos for the future. And that should be a prime example for, even though this would be off topic, and I don't want to get into a debate in regards to that, but this should also be a prime example to Pakistanis in context of Qatar. So they need to be extremely careful in regards to what they're opening, because otherwise it will end up in a very similar way.
A very reasonable assessment, Shaji, but I mean, we can very easily say that the Ottomans allowing open access and being lost in the World War One and Two has a lot of weightage to all of these things, which is understandable. If they are at fault, they are at fault. But that does not absolve the people who did all of the wrongdoings of their crime.
Look, the issue is that everyone we speak to in regards to this subject has always taken a side, including us. But we're trying to look at it in a non biased way. And if you're going to look at it in a non biased way, we're not going to discuss, for at least this part of the conversation, that who's right and who's wrong. We're trying to figure out where the things went wrong because you pointed out certain things. Now,
I can't hear Shah for some reason. Is anyone speaking?
can
Yes,
you hear me?
he is audible. He is audible.
I'm audible.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the basic crux behind it. Said, obviously there is a certain amount of aggression coming out from the Jewish Israeli occupying forces, but what enabled it was mismanagement on the part of certain groups who happen to be natives. If you, I hope that's
They
understandable.
happen to be Turkish, Shaji. I'm not educated in regards to mismanagement of the
Was Al
natives.
Husseini the great grand mufti at the time of Second World War when he was? There's another aspect to it as well. The grand mufti of Palestine or Jerusalem, Al Husseini, who basically then allied with Hitler, was very vocal about these things. He changed his stance right at the end when he realized certain things had occurred. Now, that guy
Uh,
was obviously a Palestinian. People around him were Palestinian. People welcoming these people were Palestinians. People selling those lands were Palestinians to begin with. And then when the Jews realize that they are more educated, they have more resources, and they've got this certain stigma attached to them in the West, and the Western forces, specifically Germany, is against them. And because Palestine and the Grand Mufti of Palestine at that time, or Jerusalem, Al Husseini, had clearly gone on the side of Nazis. So obviously, the British at the time, or the Allied forces, had no love for the Palestinians because obviously their leadership was siding with Germany. What do you expect?
isn't that the same Husseini who was a part of Arab revolt against the Turks? So I don't think that as
Al
Muslims we should
Husseini
look.
was part of wars against the Turks.
No, was he not against the
Al
Turkish rule or the
Husseini
Ottoman?
was alive at the Second World War time.
And was
So
he
he was an
pro
ally
or
of Hitler.
against? Was he against the Ottoman Empire and in favor of the
Ottoman
Arab League?
Empire ended in the First World War. This is Second World War we're talking about.
Oh, okay. In
So
that scenario,
After the First World War, the British took over. Obviously the Palestinians didn't like that much, and they were kind of seeking freedom. They'd left the Holy Land not in uh, that entire context of like how they're going to control it. It was kind of temporary. But having said that, when the local religious leaders or the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, Al Husseini, is going to go and side with Hitler in every way possible, then you've generated naturally two. I'm not saying what he did was right or wrong over here. Obviously, the opposing sides are going to be your natural enemies. And in this case, your natural enemy, the first one who was your natural enemy, turns out to be the British. And the second ones who turn out to be your enemy is basically the Jew. So that leaves a perfect breeding ground for what was to occur and what has occurred.
okay, Shaji, uh, understand. Put yourself in the position of the British Empire. Uh, you control a land. You know that the people of those lands are have a very recent history. I mean, I would not support if Al Husseini in the things that he had said in regards to kill the Jews. Why kill the Jews? Are they not the people of the book? Do we not have established promises with them? We do. Uh, you can't, in your good consciousness, just say kill them. That's that was a bad thing to do. That was an evil thing to do. But look at it from the British perspective. You know that these people have a very recent history in regards to being anti-Jewish. The people surrounding that area are having problems in that regard. So what do? You make the Jewish land that you were talking about in that particular area, not anywhere else. I mean, the Jews did need a land after being
Yeah,
ousted.
obviously, because as far as the Allied forces and the Brits were concerned, they just won the Second World War. The locals in Palestine had gone against them,